Hey, how's it going? And today this is just a quick and dirty tutorial on how to record an audio loop out of Logic Pro. And I apologize for the audio quality on here. I'm having to record the audio separately from the screen sharing software, which I'm having problems with on the Mini Mac. I'm not a Mac user, so I'm not as fluent with Mac computers as I am with PC. All I want to do is create a background track for another project that I'm working on, and I know Logic Pro has a lot of audio loops in it. But I was really struggling to get it to work. I finally got it to work, and I thought I would share it and document this just as a note to myself, and maybe somebody else will find it helpful. So anyway, I'm going to start from the very beginning. There's a ton of settings on here. I'm not going to go over all those. I'm just going to show you the basic steps to record an audio loop out of Logic Pro. So anyway, with Logic Pro started, we're going to go to File and we're going to go to New. And when we do, we're going to get this screen that pops up. And it's going to be defaulted to audio. It may or may not have an audio input on it. It may just say no input here. So if it says no input, go to Bus and just put it on Bus 1 because it needs to have an audio input. The output is going to be output 1 and 2, which is our stereo channels, and that this is just going to external speakers. We can check the box that says Record Enable. We're just going to create one track. That's all we're going to do. And then we're just going to go create. So by default, what happens is we have this blank audio timeline track, and the red light is blinking here, which means the recording is enabled. It's ready to restart recording. Of course, M means mute, and S means solo. This is all pretty self-explanatory. What's not intuitive is how to record the audio loop. So we're all set here. Everything looks good. We're not going to mess with any other settings, but we do need to browse through our loops. So to do that, we come up here in the upper right corner, and there's this little icon here, the loop browser, or you can press O on your keyboard. We press that, and then we have access to all these wonderful loops. So there's one in particular that I'm looking for, and it's called Watercolor Long, and it's basically a nice piano piece. It's about 38 seconds long. It's exactly what I want. So if I click on it, you can start hearing it play. Now you won't be able to hear the system audio. What you're hearing is the music coming over my speakers. So it gives you a nice preview. To stop the preview, you just click on it again. So I already know that this is the audio clip I want to record, so all I have to do is click and drag it onto the timeline over here and just let go. Now there's a button here, and this is just a 1, 2, 3, 4 count in. I don't have an issue with that, so I'm going to leave that on. If I unclick this, then I don't get a count in. But I'm going to leave the count in there. So the way my primitive brain works, I think that since I've got the audio loop on the timeline, all I should have to do now is just hit record. So I'm going to go ahead and hit record to show you the problem I was having. So I'll hit record. Let's do that right now. There's the count in. And the song is playing back. I can hear it. But if you'll notice on the audio track, nothing's being recorded. So that's not good. So I'm going to go ahead and stop that, and I'm going to push that back to the front. Now this was driving me crazy, and what I finally realized was, well, I'm clicked here on audio track 1, and if I come down here, this is its input. So I know it's got the input on bus 1, right? So that's fine, and it's supposed to output to the stereo. If I click on my audio loop track, I see that its input is on bus 1, but it really doesn't need an input. I'm concerned about its output. Well, where is it outputting to? It's outputting to the stereo speakers, which I don't want. So what I have to do is change the output on the Watercolor Long audio loop to the input of the audio 1 track. So I'll click there, come to where it says bus 1, and I'll click on that, like that. Now what should happen, now watch what happens when I play record now, this time. So I'm going to go ahead and hit record. There's my count in. And what we see now is we can see visually that it's being recorded, but I don't hear anything. But I can see it's being recorded at least, so that's comforting, right? So now I'll just go ahead and hit stop. So I can see that it's recorded a take. For some reason it's done a take 2. I'm not sure what happened with take 1, but there's a take 2. Oh, I guess because I did the blank one. Yeah, so that was my first take, my blank one, and then this is my second. So it's recording different takes. So now, if I come here and I just hit solo and go back to the front and hit play, we should hear the song. So now we're not hearing, we're seeing this play, but we're not hearing it. It should stop playing when it gets right here. Watch, let's see. See? So we're not hearing this because this is on solo. So now we've recorded our audio track. Now there's a button down here that you click on that eye and it allows you to hear this track as well. But right now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and delete this take 1. I'll delete that take. And now I have this take 2, and all I have to do is come up to where it says File, Export, Track 1 audio file. This box is going to pop up, and I'm going to save it as a WAV file, as a 24-bit. You can tag it, and we're just going to go ahead and if I go Export, I think it gives me one more option. It's going to save it to my Logic profile, my Logic folder. So where is that? Well, you've got to, we can come out of Logic Pro for a second here. We can just close out of this. And I don't need to save this. And if I go into Finder, not Finder, I'm going to go to Go and go to Home and go into Music and I go into Logic. There is my Watercolor Long 2 WAV file. I've done this once before, that's why there's 2. So if I click there, now the song is playing and I've got my background track. So anyway, that's all I had for today. I hope you found this helpful. And it's just to get you quick and dirty started with recording audio loops.